Gender discrimination is defined as a violation of common civil rights, such as sexual harassment, pregnancy discrimination, and the Equal Pay Act. Sadly, gender discrimination is still very common in the workforce. There's many legal practices that companies can practice to avoid this situation. We will be providing examples if you were a victim of gender discrimination and what laws you could use to prove your case. Now we are going to discuss what gender discrimination is, the laws for gender discrimination, and employee rights discrimination. First, let's discuss what gender discrimination is. Gender discrimination is a violation against common civil rights. What that means is if you discriminate against someone because of something they physically can't change, you're not giving them a fair chance at that opportunity. Gender discrimination is still very common in the workplace and happens more often than what we know. Gender discrimination isn't just favoring one gender over another. It also includes sexual harassment, unequal pay based off gender, and pregnancy. Often, gender discrimination is a big issue because it affects women. A lot of these laws are there to help protect women in the workplace. Sexual harassment is what I find the most common form of discrimination. As some have experienced, some people take sexual-based jokes too far. Also, people interpret things differently as well. However, some people are too scared to bring these occurrences forward because they don't want to be considered a tattletale. In these cases, I think people should keep their opinions appropriate in the workplace because you're only causing a distraction. Some males think that they are more capable of getting a job done quicker than a female, and that they should receive more money. However, it doesn't work like that. This action is violating the Equal Pay Act, which means that no matter if you're male or female, if you're doing the same job, you receive the same pay. As long as you're completing the task handed to you with all the expectations met, it shouldn't matter who gets it done faster. Sometimes it comes off as someone is more confident than others at what they are doing. This can cause someone to feel inferior because they might be a different gender than them. This is also a violation of gender discrimination. Neither male nor female should make someone not feel confident enough in their job position because they share a different sex. Obviously, women are more affected by this than men, but there's no reason to be discriminating against it. Sadly, women are being discriminated by being pregnant. This action is violating the Pregnancy Act. Employers can't make a biased decision based on whether the candidate is pregnant or not. With that being said, employees that are already hired that become pregnant should still be treated the same as when they are hired. Next, we will look at what laws are in place to protect employees.
There are several laws that have been passed to protect employees from gender discrimination. They include the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, and the Equal Pay Act of 1963. The Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 states that it is illegal to discriminate against someone on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, and sex. The Civil Rights Act protects people against discrimination to any aspect of employment, including hiring, firing, pay, job assignments, promotions, layoffs, training, and any other term or condition of employment. This law also protects employees from retaliation after a complaint has been made or a charge of discrimination has been filed. The Pregnancy Discrimination Act makes it illegal for employers to discriminate against women who are pregnant or have had a child. Any employer who allows temporarily disabled employees to take disability leave or leave without pay must allow an employee who is temporarily disabled due to pregnancy do the same. When a woman is pregnant, her employer must accommodate her physical limitations in order for her to do her job safely, the same way they would for any temporarily disabled person. When it is time for the woman to return to work, she must be given the same position or be given a job that is comparable to the one she had before leave was taken. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 states that it is illegal to pay a man and a woman different wages for doing the same amount of work. The jobs do not need to be identical, but comparable to the amount of work that has to be done. If there is an issue with pay being unequal between a man and a woman, employers may not reduce the wages of either sex to equalize the pay. Now that we know what laws that are there to protect us, we need to know what our rights are in the event that we are discriminated against. If you ever find that you have been discriminated against because of your gender, then you have rights. The first thing an employee should do is talk to their employer about what has happened that you feel that you have been a victim. If they fail to correct the situation, then you have the right to file a formal complaint called a charge of discrimination with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or the EEOC. Many states also have their own agency that take complaints. For Wisconsin, you may contact the Wisconsin Equal Rights Division. These government agencies work hand in hand to take care of charges filed in Wisconsin. If you feel that you were not hired for a job due to your gender, then you may file a charge of discrimination with one of these government agencies. The EEOC requires that a formal charge be filed before an individual is allowed to file a lawsuit against an employer or the company. The EEOC also requires the company to have 15 or more full-time employees in order to pursue a filed charge, whereas in Wisconsin, Equal Rights Division only requires the company to have one or more full-time employees. An individual must file a charge of discrimination within 180 days of the time of the incident. If the EEOC feels the employer has violated a law after an investigation, they will attempt to get a voluntary settlement with the employer. The EEOC could decide to file a lawsuit if a settlement is not reached. If the EEOC feels the employer has not violated any laws, they will send the individual a notice of right to sue, which will then allow you to file a lawsuit if you choose to do so. Some of the possible remedies for discrimination could be back pay, hiring, promotion, reinstatement, compensatory damages, and punitive damages. If the case goes before court, you could also be awarded attorney's fees, expert witness fees, and court costs. Now that you know all about gender discrimination, remember, gender discrimination happens all the time, all over the country. We can help stop it from occurring by knowing what gender discrimination is, the laws for gender discrimination, and employee rights after discrimination. Thank you.